Hi, thank you for watching your Multicultural channel. My name is Fernanda Vallejo. Today I have two special guests, so we're gonna get to know Kevin and Cindy Lamoureux.
Great to be with you.
Thank you for having us.
You're more than welcome. How are you doing today?
Well, today's a nice, beautiful Winnipeg summer day. We love our summers. They go by really quick. So I'm, generally speaking, I like to be happy no matter what's happening around me, even if I have poison ivy. That's another story.
And I'm glad we're past that hot stretch. Last week, there were a few days there where it was very brutal just walking around outside, but it's much more comfortable now.
Yeah, I know. So let's introduce yourselves a little bit. Kevin, who are you?
My name's Kevin Lamoureux. I'm the Member of Parliament for Winnipeg North, Parliamentary Secretary of the Government House Leader. And at the end of the day, I've been a politician for just over 30 years. First as an MLA, serving in the Manitoba legislature, just down the street from where we're doing the broadcast here, for just under 20 years. And then I went to Ottawa as a Member of Parliament back in 2010, and I've been there since.
Awesome. Cindy, how did you get involved into the politics?
Well, I make the argument that I started getting involved in politics from a very, very young age. He's been a politician my entire life, and he used to bring me to events with him. And so I remember being like 10 years old, going to these events on the weekend where thinking, you get paid to dance with people and eat food and socialize with your friends. And that made me want to be a politician before I really understood what it all entailed. But from a very young age, I was saying, I'm going to be a politician one day. I want to be the premier one day. And so I decided to pursue it when I was 24 years old. And we're here now, 8 years later.
And how has been the journey since 2019?
Oh, it's been an incredible journey. It goes by very quickly, the time. I find that, which makes me feel I appreciate what I am doing. And it makes me really value life as we go. But the experiences that you get to have, and one of the best things about a career in politics, and this is arguably at the municipal, provincial, or federal level, is every day is different. Sometimes you get to come do wonderful interviews like this. Okay. Other times you get to go to Folklorama, like in the evening. Sometimes you get to debate different topics inside of the Manitoba legislature. It's just a job that very much keeps you on your toes.
Wow. And Kevin, what motivated you to get involved into politics?
You know, I've always had an interest in wanting to be able to contribute. I love debates. Arguing, so if you have an issue, you and I can argue about it. We can debate about it. I enjoy debate. I'm very opinionated on a wide spectrum of issues. And I just love working with people, talking with people, and it just seemed to be a nice natural fit. I'm very proud being a Canadian. I love the diversity that we are as a country. And all of that combined and wanting to contribute led me to want to stay involved in politics. And it's been great.
Awesome. So 30 years.
Yeah, just over 30 years. Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect. And how do you guys support each other?
I think we support each other in many ways. We get to go to a lot of events together, which is really cool. But I think my favorite thing that we get to do, I guess, as like a father-daughter duo is the McDonald's on Saturday. So every Saturday we go to the McDonald's in our constituency, right on Q8 in there, from 10 a.m. till 2 p.m. And it's often very busy. Our constituents at a federal and provincial level will come out, ask questions whenever they need help, things like that. But whenever it's quiet, we actually just get to hang out. And so it's a nice way I get to hang out with my dad, but we get to do our job at the same time.
You know, I think in terms of like the Latino community is very close. A lot of family, like they stick together. Mm-hmm. And I'm very fortunate because with Cindy being in politics, I get to spend a lot of time, more time than most with a father-daughter thing, because she's at the provincial level. So she deals with issues like healthcare, and I deal with issues at the national level. So we're able to work together on representing, in essence, the same area of people. And so that's kind of a nice little treat to be able to do that as a family unit.
Awesome. Okay, and are there any challenges or benefits to having a family member in a different but related political role?
I think the biggest benefit, and I sort of touched on this a little bit, is being able to go to events together. I find in politics it can be difficult. You don't always want to bring your assistant with you to events. You don't want to bring your spouse because they might not want to go to every single event, things like that. But it will be a Friday night and we'll have 2 or 3 events to go to, and it just makes sense to go together. So it's nice to have someone there where you get to enjoy the events together. Yeah.
Another nice aspect would be, and I'll go back on healthcare. The federal government provides a lot of money towards healthcare. The province administers healthcare. So Cindy and I will take projects to work towards, like the pharmacare program. So we can talk about how important healthcare is to the entire community. And we bring to the table, when people talk to us, both the federal and provincial, as opposed to one saying, well, it's Ottawa, go to Ottawa or go to the province. We're both at the same table. And that applies for a number of different issues.
Okay, let's talk about your achievements during this period of time. Would you like us to share like a nice story?
Some of the things that we've sort of accomplished so far. My favorite work is always constituent work. And so we do a lot of casework within our office. And these are little issues from, for example, someone has a $3,000 hospital bill. We try to work out a payment plan. So little things like that along the way. But on a much larger scale, I can tell you, for example, I recently passed some legislation last year for the Retired Teachers Association of Manitoba, which ultimately allowed for them to have a seat at the board when they're talking about teachers' pension plans. This never would have happened if they hadn't been lobbying different MLAs, but I took the time to sit down with them and bring it forward inside of the Manitoba legislature. I had to lobby all my other MLA colleagues, but it ultimately passed unanimously. I currently have a piece of legislation in right now called Kira's Law. It hasn't passed yet, but it hasn't been shut down yet. And it really helps support people who are in domestic abuse relationships, especially those who are worried about what may happen with their children. So if you are watching and you are interested, please reach out to your MLAs and ask them to support Kira's Law.
Awesome. Good to know, because I work on that through my nonprofit, so we have to talk.
There you go. Absolutely.
Awesome. So Kevin, what are your current legislative priorities in the House of Commons?
The biggest thing that we have to do is look at ways in which we can support Canadians through tax reforms and things of that nature. We do that in different ways. For example, we've now brought down a national food nutrition program for schools. So 400,000 children across Canada are going to be able to have food in the classroom as a direct result. We bring in the national child care program, which ensures you're going to get $10 a day daycare. We have legislation that we're pushing through to deal with things like the pharmacare, so that people would get free contraceptives no matter where you live in Canada. And for dialysis, do you know which one that is, Cindy? Medications. We're looking at ways in which we can ensure that medicines are that much more affordable for people. We have the national dental program that's coming out. So these are the types of things that we're bringing through in the budget, and that's legislation that ultimately just recently passed. So it's a pretty good legislative agenda there to support people.
Awesome. Okay, and
or if I can, I remember it's diabetes.
Diabetes.
So if you have diabetes, the insulin and so forth, because of the legislation we're passing, would be free. It's a part of one of the first steps for pharmacare.
Including the most expensive ones like Ozempic and those.
It covers all diabetes, the aspects of diabetes, and not diabetes.
Like the insulin,
the insulin.
Pumps.
All of the details are still being worked out, but it's a major aspect to a brand new pharmacare program that's based on the nation. So it's a good thing.
Perfect. So we can talk also about pharmacare with you.
Yes.
Good. So for people who doesn't know what's pharmacare, can you explain that to them, please?
Sure. Typically what happens is that when for a certain percentage of the population, they don't have insurance programs or anything of this nature, and they require to get, they go to the doctor and they're required to get medications. There's been a very big push from some politicians. Cindy and I have been doing this since 2017, talking about the need for a national pharmacare program, and where there's not one that's national, even for the province.
Yeah.
Well, we have just this year brought in what I believe is a first step towards different medications being a part of the program. We're starting off with the insulin, things of that nature for people that have diabetes. So that's going to save some families literally thousands of dollars, because what they were paying for before is now going to be free. And the same thing for contraceptives. So no matter where you are in Canada, it would be one policy, a policy of being free. Just like when you go to the hospital, you don't get a hospital bill, right? So the pharmacare is to try to encourage, provinces to come on board and look at ways in which we could potentially expand it to include other types of medications. But at least it's a starting point.
What's the best advice that you can give to young people who wants to get involved into politics?
I think come out and volunteer. You get a real sense of what politics entails, because there's a lot of different aspects to being involved in politics. Definitely don't hesitate to get involved. So many people hesitate. It is really, really difficult to get young people, and women in particular, involved in politics. There's actually studies that have shown that women have to be worked and courted 5 times more than a man. You ask a man to get involved in politics, they're likely to say yes the first time around. You ask a woman, often have to ask her 4 or 5 times. And so I think we really need to do a better job of encouraging both women and young people to get involved. Everyone I've ever spoken to always talks about the importance of young people getting involved in politics. But those of us who are involved in politics, we need to create the opportunities for them to get involved.
And programs like what you're having, you think in terms of the Latino community. The Latino community is a very important part of who we are as a nation. We are a diverse country, and it would be nice to see more Latinos getting actively involved. Doesn't matter which political party, but get engaged, help out, volunteer, think about being candidates. There's all sorts of things that you can do. It's getting the interest and then showing up. Like Cindy and I were at the McDonald's every Saturday. Yeah. That's where we met you.
Yeah.
Was at the McDonald's.
Yeah.
People that are interested, they can stop by there, make a connection, and we'll see what we can do.
Are there any requirements, like being a citizen for sure?
To run as a candidate, yes.
Yeah.
To vote, yes. But every other aspect of it, no. It's just have an interest, and there's always things that we can have people do.
Absolutely.
As volunteers.
Okay, that's great. And if you need volunteers, let me know. I'll help you out with something. Yeah, and what is the importance of voting? Why it's important to vote?
I think it's important to vote because we actually have a say in what's going on around us, and it can be very easy to overlook that. I know there's a big proportion of people who still choose not to vote for whatever reason that may be. And I think it's really important that you go out and vote, even if you don't want to vote for a certain candidate. I hope that they do. But if they don't want to vote for a certain candidate, you should practice voting. You should go out, you should mark your ballot, spoil your ballot if you really have to. But it's so important. We live in a democratic society, and we're lucky to live in a society where we actually have the opportunity to vote. And every vote matters. Some people win or lose elections by 20 votes. That just means if 10 people voted a different way, things would go in a different direction. So when people say that their vote doesn't matter, I would argue with them. I think that their vote really, really matters. And if you drive to work in the morning down the streets, if you go to school in our education system, if you've ever visited a hospital or a clinic, you are using the resources that you're voting towards. So you should have a say in them.
See, what I would add to that is we should never, ever take democracy for granted. At the end of the day, what we see is Canada is recognized as one of the greatest countries in the world. And that shows by the number of people that want to come to Canada. And at the end of the day, take a look at what's happening in Europe with Russia and Ukraine, or what's taking place in the Middle East. It is about democracy, and we should never, ever take our democracy for granted. And a big part of that, the fundamental cornerstone to democracy, is getting out to vote.
Yeah, so I've seen a lot of immigrants, citizen immigrants here voting, like, because in our countries it's like an obligation, but here only if you want, you do it. Yeah, and we need to encourage the people to keep voting. Okay.
That's important.
Of course. Now, what legacy do you each hope to leave behind in your respective political roles?
Hard question.
Well, what I hope to do is that whenever it is that I'm finished politics, that people will look at me as someone that was genuinely interested in making the community in which we live in better. Someone that they knew was accessible, that if they needed some help, that I was available to be able to help, and that there's some projects that are out there. You know, it was wonderful. For example, the other day, I was able to announce federal dollars for a basketball court. I was able to announce federal dollars for a splash pad. You know, in a couple, I think next week, I'm going to be announcing another basketball court. You know, these are things that build healthier communities. Healthier communities is a good thing.
Hmm. I think I would definitely echo a lot of that. And I think just say my goal would be to make the lives around me just a little bit easier. If with the skills and the knowledge that I've had the real opportunity to develop and the resources that I have at the provincial level, if I can help people, whether that be navigate through systems, just make their lives easier. That's what I would like to do.
How do you guys manage your, I don't know, your work-life balance with your regular life, right? Just to mix politics and lifestyle.
You know, it was interesting. Cindy commented in regards to when she was a young girl, you know, 8, 9, 10 years old. She would go to an event and she would see me at an event and she'd be there and she'd say, "Oh, look, Dad gets paid to go out and mingle with people and all this kind of stuff." Mm. Well, when I was 16 years old, I used to watch NHL hockey and I'd say, "Look at these guys. These guys get to play hockey and they make so much money." Yeah. Well, it's because of who they are. For me, politics is a part of who I am. That I'm very, very fortunate. I enjoy and I love what it is that I do, that it's really a part of my life. So it's just second nature. So for example, when you said, "Kevin, would you come on my program?" Sure, that's a good way for me to be able to get to know you a little bit better. Mm-hmm. And through you, some other people might get to know me. And then who knows, I might be running into them on the streets where we can say hi or whatever it is. So it just becomes who you are.
Great. Okay. And can you share a personal story or anecdote from your political career that has had a significant impact on you?
What comes to mind for me, and I see it as both a positive and a negative maybe at the time, is in 2017, I had made the decision to run for the leadership of the Manitoba Liberal Party. And I learned so much through running for leadership. I got to travel Manitoba. I got to meet with Manitobans like all across the board. I got to hear about the different issues, not just in Winnipeg, but in our rural areas as well and up north. And through that experience, even though I lost the leadership race, I learned so much information that I now value and I use every single day when I'm inside of the Manitoba legislature. And so I think that was just such a profound, unique experience that I've been able to have as a politician. Absolutely. Yeah.
How about you?
Something that I learned from?
Yeah.
It's really dated. It was back in 1988. It was a Meech Lake Accord when the country had to debate what kind of constitution Canada should have. And it was a very passionate debate. And it helped me become a better politician in terms of understanding what kind of direction I would like to see Canada. I believe that the national government, for example, plays a very important role in a wide spectrum of areas. Some people disagree with me on that, and I love having the debates and the discussions on that. So it's something that occurred quite a while ago, and it still has an impact on me today.
Do you guys have any important advice for all those people that are coming to Canada, or those newcomers that just made it here and trying to give up in their decision?
I think the most important thing for people that are coming to Canada, when you arrive in Vancouver or Toronto and you get that stamp saying you're a landed permanent resident, remember, you have just as many rights as someone that's been here for generations. And you have to make sure you know what your rights are, because at the end of the day, we want you to be successful in your own way, and you shouldn't be intimidated by the fact that, well, I've only been here for a week or a year, 10 years or 20 years. Canada is the country it is because of our diversity, and we are a country of immigrants.
I think that's the best answer.
Yeah. She doesn't say that all the time.
No, I don't. I argue with him a lot because he likes to debate, right? So I often play devil's advocate.
Yeah.
But that was a really good answer.
Yeah.
I think I would just also emphasize the importance of the community. Like when you first come to Canada, when you first come to Manitoba, in our case, get to know the community around you. And I mean community in different senses. I mean community, your neighbors, for example. Get to know them. They are your support group. Get to know if you're Latino, get to know the Latino community, because they are thriving and getting stronger and stronger. And we want our demographics to grow. That's the only way to do it.
Awesome, beautiful. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you have any other advice, because before we finalize, please go ahead. Cameras are yours.
Well, I can start off if you like.
Sure.
Our summers are short, and I think for those that are following, at the end of the day, make sure you enjoy the summer, and really appreciated the opportunity that you provided both me and Cindy to be able to be here enjoying with you and speak to members of the community. Thank you
so much. Thank you so much for watching You Multicultural channel. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And don't forget to follow us on our social media as You Multicultural channel. Stay tuned for more.